let's talk about some of the worst tech fails from last year. From trusted creators releasing scam products to billion-dollar corporations shipping broken software. Number one on the list is absolutely shocking, so stay tuned for that. With that being said, let's dive in. At number 5, we have the CrowdStrike disaster. You know how Windows runs on approximately 1.6 billion devices worldwide? Imagine what would happen if they all just stopped working at the same time. Well, that's exactly what happened when cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike released an update which bricked 8.5 million devices worldwide. Let that sink in. 8.5 million devices just gone. As you can imagine, this led to complete chaos. It wasn't just people at home that were affected, but airports started grounding flights, hospitals lost access to critical systems, McDonald's couldn't process payments, and even banks went offline. The entire world came to a standstill because of one bad update. The fallout was brutal. CrowdStrike lost roughly 13% of its market share overnight, wiping out billions in shareholder value. But here's what makes this even worse. This wasn't some sophisticated cyber attack or natural disaster, but in fact a rookie coding mistake which caused this whole thing. A developer at CrowdStrike wrote faulty code and that was somehow pushed to production and bypassed all sorts of quality assurance testing. We're talking about an expensive enterprise software company. This isn't some startup that doesn't have resources. Needless to say, the fallout of this was immense, and I'm sure CrowdStrike has learned its lesson now. Moving on to number 4, and this one was truly shocking because no one saw it coming. We're talking about one of the biggest, not one of the biggest, the biggest tech YouTuber on the platform, MKBHD himself. If you didn't know, MKBHD released a wallpaper app sometime last year, and oh boy was it a disaster. First off, the app was subscription based for wallpapers. $12 a month for wallpapers, for high definition wallpapers. I mean, who asked for this? But it gets worse. The app had serious privacy issues, asking for permissions to look at contact information, location history, and even internet browsing history. Why would a wallpaper app need access to these things? It just doesn't make any sense. There were also security vulnerabilities going on with this app. Some people even made an exploit to extract all the wallpapers off their servers because they hadn't protected their API that they were using. And don't get me started with the amount of ads that were in the free tier. 2 unskippable ads to download a single SD quality wallpaper. SD, not HD, so a pixelated version of a wallpaper. And on top of everything else, the UI was just completely unintuitive. Everything about this app when it launched felt unpolished and rushed. But the reason why all of this hit so hard is the fact that it was MKBHD, the face of tech YouTube, that was behind all of this. He's built his entire brand on trust and honest reviews. When we see his face, we expect honesty and consumer first thinking. As someone that has reviewed so many tech and software products, you'd expect him to know what the people want the best, right? So when he releases an app which feels like a cash grab with predatory pricing and poor execution, of course there's going to be a huge amount of backlash. Now, to his credit, Marquez did address these concerns to the best of his ability by publishing a YouTube video talking about it, and the team have been actively making efforts to make the app a better experience. The app is now $2 a month for the premium version, and they've also removed a lot of the ads that they had in the app. But I still call this a failure, not because the app lost money or anything, but because the community lost some of our trust in Marquez as a creator. Number 3 on this list is Arc Browser, and this is probably the most disappointing for me personally. Arc is a browser made by the browser company with the sole goal of revolutionizing the browser experience, focusing more on productivity and aesthetic. And honestly, they absolutely nailed it. I've been using Arc since it launched, and it's probably one of my favorite products from the last year. Getting someone to change their browsers in this day and age is massive. It's very hard for people to let go of what they're used to, especially when the change involves something very different like it does with Arc. But that's exactly what makes Arc so different and so much better than the competition like Chrome and Safari. The vertical sidebar gives you way more vertical screen space, which just makes the content look a lot nicer on the page. It's got all sorts of cool features that the other browsers don't have. For example, auto-closing tabs for a clutter-free experience. Even some cool AI features like renaming your downloads to something useful by using AI, or hovering on a link, for example, to get an AI-generated summary of what the content is inside the link. And even using AI to reorganize your tabs into different sections grouped by the category using AI. The idea of spaces to separate different workflows is so genius. And I genuinely can't think of one single thing that I don't like about this browser. So you might be wondering, if everything is so good about Arc, where did it all go wrong? Well, the browser company recently announced that they're moving on from Arc to focus on a new venture called Dia, a new browser which is more focused on AI and has a built-in integrated chat AI experience. And importantly, they've said that they've stopped developing features for Arc. This is absolutely insane to me. They have a well-polished product with a dedicated, passionate community behind it, but they're leaving all of that for a new venture for some AI chat experience within a browser. I mean, who wanted this? To me, it feels like they're trying to capitalize on the AI hype train, but in the process, they're abandoning the product that people actually love and use every day. Everyone I've recommended this browser to has absolutely loved it. But now this just feels like a betrayal from the browser company. There's all sorts of battery drain issues on Arc that people have been noticing for a while now, And it seems like they've completely forgotten about releasing Arc on Windows. There's been no fixes for any of this, and it's been clear that they've left Arc to die. Now, I'm still using Arc because honestly, I feel like there's still no good alternative that's also based on Chrome. There has been some interesting alternatives popping up recently, and I'd love to dive into that in a separate video. If you're interested in seeing that video, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Number 2 is another company that made big promises but came up short. This time, it's Apple. At WWDC 24, Apple unveiled a suite of Apple Intelligence features that were supposedly coming to iPhone soon. They hyped up deep personal context awareness, a smarter Siri, and all sorts of AI magic. It felt like the whole presentation was just all about AI. But fast forward to WWDC 2025 and they barely even mentioned it. What happened? Well, as it turns out, a lot of the flashy features that they showed off in the keynote weren't actually real. We're talking about staged demos which weren't actually running on physical devices. Reports came out that even members of the Siri team, which actively work on developing the feature, were surprised when they saw the keynote. Now imagine working with the Siri team and looking at this keynote and having your CEO talk about features that you didn't even know existed. And while all these claims are still being investigated, the fact of the matter is that Apple promised an AI future. But what do we get instead? Magic Eraser, which works sometimes, which is cool, I guess. But where's all the Siri stuff? Where is the mind-blowing context-aware personal assistant? You'll notice a recurring theme in this video, which is companies betraying consumer expectation, over-promising and under-delivering. And the thing is, this is generally true, and we know not to trust these companies, but Apple, for me, used to be the exception to this. And now what's happening? They're being sued for false advertising. Lastly on the list is yet another big name. This time, it's Spotify. Now, Spotify doesn't make hardware, right? They're a music streaming service, and that's the only thing they do? Wrong. A couple of years ago, they actually released a product called the Car Thing. The idea, a small touchscreen device that lets you control your Spotify music while you drive. On paper, it kind of makes sense. A dedicated Spotify UI with voice and touch controls. Cool, right? Well, not really. Here's the problem. If you've got a newer car, chances are you already have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto within, which already contains Spotify. And if you've got an older car, are you really going to pay the premium price of $90 for this device, plus the price of a Spotify premium membership, which you need to use this device anyway? The thing was already a niche product, but the execution just made it worse. And it's clear to see that Spotify recognized this because they slashed the price from $90 to $50 and then again to $30. But that's not the worst part. The touchscreen was laggy, the voice controls were unreliable, and the overall experience was just bad. And then came the final blow. Earlier this year, Spotify killed the CarPlay completely, not just discontinuing sales, but breaking the actual device. That's right, if you bought one, now it's a useless plastic square. Naturally, people were furious. Many people said that they wouldn't have bought the thing if they knew Spotify was going to discontinue it 3 years down the line. So there you have it, 5 of the biggest tech fails from the last year. Let me know down below which tech fail surprised you the most, or if you have another tech fail that deserves to be in this video, leave it down below. If you've enjoyed this video, you might like my review of the iPhone 15 Pro in 2025, which I'll have linked here.